The kind of place that you work really has a lot of impact on you, and it's important for you to find a place that makes you really excited and happy to go to work, and a place that makes you really fulfilled because you're able to be the best that you can be at your place of work. So it's important to note the red flags before even entering into a place of employment, and also for you to note the red flags when you already start working there, so that you can know a way to go around it, so that you can get the maximum from your work. So I'm going to be dividing these red flags into two parts. The first part will be that which you can spot before starting a job, and the second part will be that which you can spot when you're already working at a particular job. All right, let's get started. Now, first things first, I believe that every business should have an online presence. I mean, even the small scale businesses, the side hustles have their online presence, whether it's their Instagram account or their TikTok account or their Twitter account or even a website. They have somewhere that they can navigate to when you want to find out more about the company. So if that place that you want to apply to doesn't have an online presence that has, substantial information for you to know about the company, then I think that your antenna needs to be ringing off the chart, especially if it's a company that is claiming to be big yet doesn't have a good online presence. And I'm not talking about, being active on social media, posting every day, but a company that doesn't even have any tangible information about them online, then your antennas need to be ringing off the chart, because they probably might be engaging in illegal businesses, or they might just not be a good company. So it's important for you to be safe, because there are also lots of fraudsters out there that claim to be businesses, but they are into some very shady dealings, and you don't want to be a part of that. So to avoid any kind of issue, make sure that you research on the company before even applying in the first place, and before even going for an interview. If you cannot get a good amount of information about the company, then do not even go. That's not the kind of company that you want to go to anyways. And then the flip side of this is that a company that has a negative online presence, you should actually be wary of that company. Honestly, I would say majority of the case, it's better for you not to work there, because there's something shady going on. Now, when you've gotten past, applying for the job and being invited for an interview, now when you go for that interview, the second red flag is when the company delays you for long hours or long periods of time. Now, this is very annoying, and I've seen this happen a lot of time here in Nigeria. And to be honest, it is really frustrating. Any company that does that doesn't actually respect its workers, because if that company respects its workers, they will not want to waste your time. If they value time and they respect the time of their workers, then they will not keep you waiting for long just because you came for an interview. Because guess what? By the time you start working in that company, they're going to ask you to work extra hours and will not even give a care. They're going to expect for you to do the extra, to give the extra time, to be delaying you, to be asking you to walk around the clock, and they're not going to just respect your time. So a company that doesn't know how to be organized, to know the right time to invite people for an interview, that they'll be ready to interview them at the right time, then that company is not properly organized. In fact, I'll tell you that once you get to that interview and they're delaying you for more than an hour, get up and leave, and then send a message to the HR saying that they need to tell you the next time they want to hold the interview and when they will be ready, because you cannot wait. And if they choose not to get back to you, then that is it. And if they choose to get back to you and apologize, then good. That means they understand that you mean business, and in fact, they would respect you a lot more. Now, I know some people will hear this and be like, well, it's because you are not desperate for the job. If you are really desperate for the job and you really need money, you would sit down and wait those hours. Now, let me tell you something. If you treat yourself anyhow or allow people to treat you anyhow, it's going to continue that way for a very long time, because however it starts is how it's going to continue and even get worse. So if they're already treating you badly without respect when you come for the interview, trust me, it's going to continue when you start working at the place. If you carry yourself well and present your case properly and respectfully, and let them understand that they need to respect your time, they would respect you, and it would also influence the way they would treat you from then onwards. So it's important that you carry yourself well, and if they choose not to, then it's better for you to go to the next bus stop, go to the next job interview, go to a place that you will be respected. Otherwise, you see people working in places where they are just upset every single day because of how they're treated. They're unhappy at their place of work. You spend lots of hours in your office, so you don't want to be in a place that doesn't respect you. And it starts from the job interview, and this goes into the interview itself. How were you spoken to? Were you shouted at? Were you talked down on? It is important for you to note these things, because if that is how they treated you, they shouted at you, talked down at you, then trust me, they're not going to respect you during the job. Now, it doesn't even matter if you could not answer any of the questions that they asked you. They have no right to talk to you disrespectfully. So you need to carry yourself well, and you need to spot these things very well, because if they're already talking to you anyhow at the interview stage and you're already shaking and being timid, they're going to continue. And in fact, it's also a way for them to test the kind of person that you are. Some people want workers that will be timid and scared so that they can rub all sorts of nonsense over them, while they have some other workers in the same organization that they know they cannot put trash to. So they'll have this kind of two people in the same office. So it is from the interview stage that they will know the place to place you in that organization. So are you going to be the timid one, or are you going to be the one who knows her stuff, who knows her worth? Are you going to be that kind of person? In your kingdom, you should be that kind of person. That's what we want to see in you, because we want your outstanding self to ignite. Now, another red flag that I've noticed, which I find to be a huge scam, is that they will ask people to do like a proper project, like a proper work, and submit it, and they'll say that they're going to be reviewing their performance. And it's a lie, because most times they really just want to use that work for their own internal projects. So they want you to do some of the work for them. They want you to do some of the research for them. See, if they're not going to pay you for your work, they should not ask you to do any project. This is why you need to have your portfolio at hand to be able to show your work, your previous work, so that they can see the kind of stuff that you can do, and that is enough. Anything they want to ask you then should be about your interview and you being able to explain yourself. They shouldn't be asking you to do any major type of work, especially when it comes to the work that has to do with their company. For example, asking you to create a logo for a new brand that they're going to launch. Now, that is ridiculous, because are they going to pay you for your intellectual property? Are they going to pay you for your work, for your time, for your energy? It doesn't make any sense for you to take on that work. If they want to review that you are good, if they want to be sure that you are good, they should look at your past works. They should look at the logos that you've made in time past and see the kind of technique you use, see the kind of logos you're able to produce, and be able to judge from that to know that you are are good or you are not. If they don't like your type of design, then they can take a walk. But asking you to now create a logo for their own new brand or business or whatever makes no sense, because at the end of the day, they're going to use inspiration for that, and it might not even be for that particular brand. It can be for something else, but they're just going to take inspiration for that and then use it for something else, and it can be quite annoying. Besides, whether they're going to use it or not, they need to pay for your time and energy spent on doing any form of work. So it's really wrong for them to ask you to do a proper work without paying you for it. A company that understands this will either tell you that they're going to pay you for the time and energy they're going to spend doing that work, or they'll just look at your portfolio and judge you based on that. And they'll also have that probation period when you start working to know whether you are who you say you are, you're able to do what you claim to do. So that probation period is for them to see that the things that you showed, the things that you presented to them as your works are actually true. You have that capacity to do that same thing. And if during the first month, second month, during your probation period, they realize that the kind of skills that they claim to have, you don't have them, or you're not able to churn out the kind of quality that you claimed you were able to do, then they can lay you off. I mean, that's why there's a probation period. But asking you to do that level of work before you gain employment is a scam. And I know that it is popular here in Nigeria, so you need to be careful of these red flags. Do not waste your time. Now, somewhere along the employment journey is where the discussion about salary would be brought up. And a proper company that is properly organized should have a clear salary structure for that particular role, and different hierarchies and all. So it's important for you to note if that company has a clear salary structure, because a common problem with not having a clear salary structure is that you enter into the employment and realize that you are working in a particular role and you're earning less than somebody that is working probably even junior to you. It can be quite painful. But a way for you to get around this is for you to arm yourself with a lot of information by doing good research to know how much is supposed to be paid to somebody who is working in that particular role. You can ask around, you can check and compare different companies, similar companies, to know the kind of amount that they usually pay for that role, and then be able to ask for what you really want, and give yourself the best fighting chance to get the salary that you desire. Do not shortchange yourself. But it's very good for a company to have a clear salary structure. They should have the exact amounts that they give to people that are in a particular role, so that it's just very clear. Even if you don't know about the best salary for you, they should be able to guide you in the right range for you. You should not be earning so way off from the range that they've ascribed to that role. So it needs to be within it, so that they don't shortchange you because maybe you don't know. And it's important for you to actually know. So it's a two-way thing. So you cannot really blame the company totally, because you need to have that information, but it's just better for the company to be well structured so that everything is clear, and so the worker feels that he or she's worth is being paid for properly. Now, this goes into benefits. A company that doesn't have the basic benefits for its staff, like HMO and pension, should be avoided. Now, I've seen this happen a lot in Nigerian companies where they will not pay HMO or pension to their staff. It is ridiculous. Every worker should be given these benefits, HMO and pension. It is really important. There is no excuse for it. It's just cheating. So if you're applying to join a company and it doesn't have these benefits, make sure that you just take a walk and leave that place, because they will lie to you that you're working on it and they're going to get it done in 1 month or in 2 months or in 3 months, and they will never get towards doing that, except they're going to write a statement, and you guys are going to sign a contract that they're going to provide that to you within XYZ period. Otherwise, do not enter into that employment, so that at least you have a binding contract that says this is what they promised you, so you can hold them to it. But if they don't have that, my dear, if they're just telling you by word of mouth, take a walk, because they're just telling you lies and they just want to cheat you. And I really don't care how small the company is, they should be providing these benefits. It's just the right thing to do. So there's no excuse, and don't even give any excuse for them, because they're just going to keep on leveraging on that excuse and never providing you what is your worth. It's something that they can put together if they really want to. So make sure that you're paying attention to this, so that you are not scammed. Like, it's broad daylight scamming. Now, after you've been hired, a major red flag that I often see is that people will not be given clear job descriptions. And if they're given a clear job description, the kind of work that they'll be asked to do would go way beyond that job description, would go into multiple areas. And that is a huge scam, because you're working more than you are paid to. So you're being paid for a small amount of job that is written in your job description, and the kind of work they're giving you to do is to wear several hats. So they're going to ask you to, do some admin work. They're going to ask you to look for painter for the company. They're going to ask you to get something and get that and do this and do that. And you're going to be wearing several hats that you should not be wearing, because it has nothing to do with, the core of your business. It has nothing to do with what you've been, employed to do. So if you've noticed that it's already happening to you, it means that they're already taking advantage of you, because they want to employ just one person to do the work of 2 or 3 people. And that is just not right. So the way to go about this is to, first of all, outline your job description, have it clearly printed out, and then write out the different things that they've been asking you to do that is outside of your job description, and make sure that it is clearly outside of your job description. Then have a proper discussion with your HR and present these things to your HR very clearly, to show that this is what you signed up for, this is the job description that they wrote for you, and this is what they're asking you to do, and it doesn't tally with your job description. Let this HR be able to explain to you why they're giving you more than what you signed up for, and you can have a good negotiation and a good discussion and agreement afterwards. And let it also be properly outlined, like properly documented. Let it not just be a word of mouth discussion, because it will end up being what he said versus what you said versus what one said, and it's just going to be about she said, he said, whatnot, and that cannot hold water. So let there be a proper documentation of the agreement going forward, so that it's clear on what you're doing. And if it's going to be that you're going to be taking on more hats, then are they going to increase your salary, or what are they trying to do? What is the agreement? Ensure that it's something that favors you. It's okay for you to ask for more if they're going to be adding things to your job role. Now, another red flag that I've noticed is when they even change your job role altogether. I mean, they employed you as a digital marketer, and before you know it, they're asking you to work as a sales representative. I mean, it's not the same thing. It's not what you signed up for. You don't want to enter into into sales. You don't want to start a career in sales. So why are they just changing that? That's because that's what they need at that particular time for the business. But they're not putting into consideration your desired job role and your desired career. So they're just going to change your job role just because they feel like it. It's important for you to pay attention to this. If they're doing that, you need to let your antennas be ringing off the chart. Is that what you want to do? Do you want to be a sales representative, or you want to continue in digital marketing? Have a discussion with your HR to make it clear that you're not interested in that job role that they're asking you to do. And one thing that often happens is that they will scare you into saying that if you're not going to adapt, then you need to leave the company. Now that is very wrong on the company to just change your role just like that because they feel like it. But it's important for you to know what you want in your career and not let anybody just move you anyhow they want, because before you know it, you realize that you've spent years in a particular company not doing what you want that is in relation to your desired career, and you've just wasted periods of your time doing something that you're not interested in building a career towards. So it's better off for you to have that discussion in the beginning stage. So as soon as they bring that discussion up that they're changing your job role to something that you know you're not interested in, then have that conversation and let them know that you're not interested in that, and it should keep you at your job role. Now I know that this is rampant with one-man businesses where they just feel like they can move the worker anyhow that they like. Whenever they need different services and roles to be filled, they just change the person's job role anyhow they feel like. It is wrong. You need to bear in mind your career and what you are interested in. That is it. Another major red flag is when there is no growth or promotion process. Now you can be working in a company and you realize that the only way you can get promoted to a different role or to take on a higher level is when the person in that level probably dies or leaves the company, and you know that is not happening anytime soon. So that means you're going to be in the same spot doing the same thing for several years. You're not going to be promoted. You're not going to have an increase in salary because you're going to be doing the same role, the same job every single day. Then if there is no clear growth or promotion process, then you need to make sure that you start thinking about that and probably have a discussion with your HR, because you don't want to be working in a company for 10 years and still earning the same thing. You don't want to be working for a company for 20 years and not get any significant change in your role, in your level, in your salary. It's just like stagnancy, and no one likes to be stagnant. So it's important for you to look and observe what's going on in the company. People just realize that after like 10 years, 20 years, they realize that they're still in the same spot as they were from the beginning. It's just appalling. So make sure that you notice that from the get-go. Don't just rely on verbal promises, because companies will promise that, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and they're not going to do any of that. But if it is clearly documented that they have this process of, improving, promoting people, if they're saying that every year, every 2 years, you're going to be reviewing your performance to see if you're deserving of a promotion, then at least you know that there's a process to it, as opposed to there being nothing and you're just waiting for somebody to just feel like promoting you when they feel like it. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So it's better for you to have it clearly defined in front of it. Make sure that you know what the promotion and the growth process looks like, so that you know what to anticipate, and then you can then fight for your promotion. And on the flip side of this is training. If the company doesn't train its workers, there's no process towards training the workers, they just train the workers whenever they feel like it, then it's not really ideal, because it just shows that they're not prioritizing the growth and the knowledge of their workers. And if you want to ensure that you're learning a lot and the company is intentional about your growth, then look into that aspect. See what the plan is for training. You can talk to the HR about this to know what is in store for the training. Now, a company that might not necessarily have a clearly defined training process, if you notice that they have a culture of training the workers quite often, then you can at least rest in knowledge that they have a good culture of training the workers. But the company that you've noticed and you've asked previous staff about, and they've told you that they have not had any training for years, then you know that they're not interested in your growth. So at least you know whether you're going to be the one investing in your own personal training and growth by yourself, or if you rather go to a company that's going to be interested in training you and getting you to be better. So it's something that you need to look at to see if it's important to you or not. And I think that you need to be very intentional about your training, because if you're not improving on yourself, what's going to happen is that after a certain number of years, they'll realize that they need a particular hat to be filled, and since you don't have the training and the qualification for it, they're going to bring somebody outside to come and take on that role, and they're going to bounce you off, and you're going to be junior to that person. So you want to ensure that you are constantly relevant to take on higher and bigger roles. So you have to keep on improving yourself. Now, most times, of course, you're going to do some part of the training yourself, and the company's going to do some part of the training for you. So it's a win-win on both sides. So at least pay attention to the training system for that company to see if they are interested in training you in some level, in some way, and they have a process to it, so that you can anticipate the trainings. Now, the next red flag is about office bullying, harassment, and abuse, and the process towards complaint and how it's being handled. Now, if in the company you notice that there's been a lot of abuse going on, where the superiors constantly harass or bully the juniors, where somebody is constantly harassing another person, or you notice that there's some sort of harassment or abuse or bullying going on in some way or form in the company, then you need to pay close attention to that, because you don't want to be in a company where you're constantly feeling like you're being abused, you're being harassed, you feel like you're being bullied. So you need to talk to the human resource about this, and also note the way they handle situations like this. Is the human resource team very active in being able to remedy the situation? Do they attend to this properly, or they just blacklist the person and they don't treat the situations really seriously? So this is all about being observant, to observe what is going on around you, to observe the culture, and probably ask questions to the right people where necessary. And when it comes to abuse and harassment, it's also good for you to have proof, because you don't want to be in a place where it is your word against the other person's word. I mean, in what way are they going to take your word for it? Because there's no evidence. Now, do they also have cameras in the office to ensure that there's the safety and security of the workers at the office? So you need to look at all of these things, because you want to be working in a place where you feel really really safe and secure, and you feel like you're respected and you're not abused or harassed in any way or form. So observe these things, and if this is happening rampantly in that organization, then maybe you need to take a leave. Now, another major red flag that I personally hate so much is when a company doesn't have a clear direction. So one minute they are focused on XYZ, the next minute they're focused on ABC, the next minute they are focused on LMNOP, and they just keep on changing their focus every time. And it can be quite annoying because now you've been working for this company for a while now, and you cannot pinpoint any finished work that you can say, this is what I have done, because at the point when you're about to finish that work, they will just stop it and change to another project. And then when you're working on that project, before it even gets finished, they've changed it to another project. And so you realize that you've worked for a whole year now and cannot pinpoint one major thing that you have done to say, this is my achievement in this company, because the head of the organization keeps on changing the direction and keeps on changing the focus every single time. So you have not even been able to create a good portfolio to say, this is what I did in this company and this is my achievements. You cannot point to anything because nothing was finished. So it's really daunting to work in that kind of company. And if you notice that that is the trend, then it's better for you to leave as quickly as possible, because you don't want to work for that company for 5 years and then look back and you can barely point to anything tangible to say, this is what you've done. And then when you finally want to go to another company, you have nothing to show for the years that you've worked. So it's better for you to take a fast move from that company as quickly as possible. You don't want to waste time there at all. Now that's it for work-related red flags, and I hope that this has given you some sort of insight for you to be able to look at the things that you need to properly evaluate before getting into any type of employment, and also for you to look at these things even when you are currently working at a particular place to know if that is the best place for you, if they are taking advantage of you in any form, and so that you can be able to protect yourself and know what is the best for you. I wish you the very best in your place of work. I want you to be very fulfilled and happy about where you're working, and to be glad that your career is moving in the right direction. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. Please ensure that you subscribe to this channel and that you click the notification bell to get notified when we release a new video, and of course like this video and share with your friends and family so that they can join the Yosi Kingdom. We love you. I'd like to see you in the next video. Until then, we can hang out on our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Bye, guys.